Hello, everyone, and welcome to another new show that we are starting here at TDN. It is the TDN Daily Video, and I'm your host, Senior NFL reporter for the Draft Network, Carmen Vitali. And today's topic, while easy to pick, is not easy to talk about. As much as I wanted to just fly off the cuff, my immediate reaction to Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension with no additional fine was not a good one. And I instead waited to gather my thoughts, and I wanted to be intentional about this and the way I spoke about it. My immediate response was obviously anger, but that was expected, and realized that the only thing I would have been okay with is if the league, if Deshaun was in fact suspended with that indefinite suspension that the NFL of all people was recommending, with the minimum of a year. Anything less than that, I wasn't going to be satisfied with. So here we are at a 6-game suspension. The NFL was actually on the right side of this, and their rumored recommendation of an indefinite suspension with a minimum of 1 year and the opportunity to appeal for reinstatement was, I think, the right one. And though the NFL agreed, both with the NFLPA and Deshaun's camp, that they would have Judge Sue L. Robinson, former federal judge, review the case, and the NFLPA came out last night with a statement that said they were not going to appeal. This is before the ruling came down. And as soon as that happened, I knew the suspension was going to be light, I will be quite honest. Urging the NFL to do the same in not appealing the suspension makes me hope that the NFL will, in fact, appeal the suspension. They have 3 days to do it. And if they do, that appeals process, though, won't start till next week. And the NFLPA would then also have the opportunity to sue the NFL in federal court. 6 games, quite frankly, is a slap in the wrist, and it's a slap in the face to the victims and for the women in and around this game. I'm disappointed in the NFLPA, and I would hope that they would want to hold their players to a higher standard than what is being currently conveyed. It's a reflection of a very broken organization, an organization that a lot of players don't even support. This is a suspension that I've heard from people around the league still feels too light, and that is people inside the NFL. And it is such a bad look. Going to bat for someone who a judge found to have engaged in conduct violating the NFL's misconduct policy with sufficient evidence, I don't know why you go to bat for that. Tom Pelissero tweeted something earlier today based on the judge's ruling that all massage therapists must be club therapists now for Deshaun Watson. And I don't want to liken this to the Kyler Murray homework clause because it's obviously not at all the same thing, but the sentiment kind of remains the same. If you have to explicitly state something like this, you're acknowledging that there's a problem. And if you're acknowledging that there's a problem, then how do you feel right about keeping Deshaun in this environment and allowing him to play? Like nothing ever happened. There was another tweet that came out and about Sue Robinson's decision. She said the pattern of behavior was egregious but nonviolent sexual conduct. MIS is missing from that last word. It is misconduct. And this ruling is explicitly reinforcing larger attitudes in our country that the threat to women is less important than the comforts of a man. Massages are an elective thing. And yes, I realize when you're a world-class athlete that it doesn't so much feel like that, and it does feel like a necessity. But at the end of the day, it's not a need or a basic right. But you know what is a need or a basic right, or at least should be? Feeling safe in your own workplace. And that is not something that was afforded to the massage therapist, and that is not something that is afforded to women in this league far too often. To definitively say that these weren't violent situations is also just as reckless, as some of these women alleged forcible behavior from Watson. I understand no criminal charges were brought, but that doesn't equate to innocence. These kinds of cases are especially hard to try, and the NFL and society as a whole has shown us time and again that even with irrefutable evidence, they're still going to protect their multi-million-dollar assets. Because make no mistake, that's what Deshaun Watson is. He's an asset. This is about money. I can only speculate, but I would think that the need to have so many massage therapists and this repeated pattern of behavior speaks to a larger behavioral issue. If you actually cared about Deshaun, you would get him help, not keep him in an environment that enables the problem to perpetuate. I'm especially disappointed in the Cleveland Browns in particular. You chose what Deshaun could potentially do on the field over half your fan base. There's no guarantee Deshaun even returns to form. He's been out of football for a year. And even then, even if he was a bona fide elite quarterback, that still doesn't make this better. You even protected yourself as the Browns by structuring his contract in a way that pays him just $1 million his first season. If you were going to make this bed, you needed to lie in it. I dread week 7 now. I dread seeing Deshaun Watson take the field and for all this to be swept back under the rug. like so many before him. If you zoom all the way out and you look at this situation as objectively as possible, it borders on insanity that this man should be able to return to his job like nothing happened. Where else in our society does that exist? As much as I love this game, it's let me down once again. And once again, makes it harder for me and women like me to do my job. Yet we do, and we continue to do so.